Okay, we want to start our budget review for Public Works.
What do you have it for?
All right. We would like to start our budget review for Public Works. Please take the conversation in the hallway. Please, in the hallway, when you're running way behind. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to start. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. McLean, the chairperson.
That works.
All right, good job. All right, we will start our budget review for Public Works, liquid fuel, solid waste, applicable equipment and capital funds. We'll turn it over to Chairperson of Public Works, who's having a very busy evening, Mr. McLean. All yours.
Yeah, we're going to do what you said. All right. Obviously, we're here for the budget review for Public Works. Craig, do you have some sort of presentation for us, or are you just going to take bullets?
We're going to go through this very quick with the time that we have. Just to point out a few things. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of information I'm not going to talk about at this point in time, but please do take a look at it, and if you have any questions, please let me know. All right, so first slide obviously is just a little bit of an overview of the actual crews and departments that we actually have. I really like to put a face to different things at a lot of times, so this is pretty much a good group of guys and girls, and I'm really proud of them. So next slide is pretty much, I like to give fun facts every time. This time we changed it around a little bit. There was some questions before about how much sidewalk or how much curbing or you know, as far as any funds that we're getting in from LCA for doing some of the work we're doing. So this pretty much just puts it down there a little bit. You can take a look at it. But like I said, these are pretty much just a little bit fun facts of all the different departments and what they do. Building maintenance, a couple things that they have online for 17. Replace the HVAC units at Bridgeworks and complete the build out of new office space for the Bureau of Solid Waste at Bridgeworks. Currently there's some changes going on. Building standards is coming down to City Hall, and we were going to combine having solid waste and recycling move over to the Bridgeworks building with us. Next is communications, actually new for 2017. Tech services will now be in Public Works under our operations. A couple of things that they have going on there is one of the large project is upgrade the city's aging 800 megahertz radio system. It's basically the system's outdated, you can't get parts for it anymore. So it's something that's definitely needed. It's not only for Public Works, but it's for all of public safety, police, fire, and EMS also. Office of Compliance, 2017 goals. Obviously, one of the largest one is making sure that they're providing major capital project management and fiscal oversight over all the projects that we have that LCA is taking on, and basically making sure that day-to-day operations or any complaints or any issues that come in are taken care of, but we're doing a fine job with that. Some of the engineering goals, one of the big ones that I really like, we plan on replacing 200 trees next year. This year I believe we did about 100 or so. We want to try to double our effort with that and work with the neighborhood groups and really go out and revitalize some of the areas, clean it up, and planting trees is a big factor in that. Obviously, we're bidding another maintenance project for 2017, and then also the curb and sidewalk improvement projects. I know in the past we've had some issues with that, getting contractors on board. I think we're to a point now where I think we're a little bit more stable now, but it's always interesting. Also, just want to point out the 2nd Street Bridge being a remediation project. That's a project that we'll be taking on very shortly. Our Mark Assets will be planning that one, getting RFP ready and getting the repairs done. Some of our ongoing projects, currently we have about 15 million, 15.7 million of projects that are going on capital-wise. City contribution, I always like to show, is about 2 million. We always try to get our bang for our buck with the money as much as we can. Some of the projects that are going on actually right now are in the Arts District, heart of the city, Livingston Watershed, and some of those larger projects like Mac Boulevard, Chew Street, they're actually working on them now on the handicap ramps, also on Hamilton. The majority of the paving and the big impact that you'll see on it will be in the spring. But there are a lot of projects going on right now. All right, for recycling and solid waste, obviously, we have our new contract, which we're very proud of that we have with Waste Management. We were able to save a lot of money with that project. Also want to point out we have about 4 months right now of single stream actually under our belt here now. We've seen about a 15% increase in recycling over the previous year. Recycling is up probably about 30% for the year at this point in time, but I'd rather give you numbers for months from last year, but we're up about 15%. And since we have the new contract, we're actually paying per ton for the disposal instead of having the 40,000 ton contract that we did previously. So every ton that we save, putting it into recycling instead of putting it into the dump there, it avoids landfill costs. So just along with the increase that we've had so far in those 4 months with the single stream recycling, we were able to save another $20,000 actually in disposal costs. So not only are we recycling more, but we're saving additional funds. So over a year, possibly if this continues, we're looking at about another $60,000 total for a year. So that's something we're pretty proud of. Obviously, we're getting our performance grant this year for another $275,000. And something that's going to be rolling out very soon is going to be our new Recycle Bank program. It's going to be something, it's going to be very exciting for people to actually want to go and recycle more. It's not only going to help us out in that area, but it's going to help local businesses because they're going to be working with local businesses to try to get people to get into those businesses. So it's something very exciting. Watch out for it. I believe it's November 15th. At 11 a.m. we're actually going to be having a press conference for it, but obviously if you're available to attend, we would enjoy that. Okay, some more of their goals. Obviously we have a new program. We wanted to come out with a new bin. Right now they're currently distributing those new bins. Obviously coming out also with a new program. We wanted to try to revitalize our recycling program, so we needed to come up with a new mascot, and that's our single stream Scotty. We're trying to work with the different schools and different areas to try to really educate the people in what single stream is, get them to understand it, and really get not only the kids but other neighborhood groups to try to really go out and recycle more. But we're very excited about that. And also something new, we have a yard waste hotline. So this way, if there's any questions at all, anything about yard waste, there's a number now that's up there on the screen. That if you call that number, it'll have all the information about yard waste. This is for the municipal garage. Currently we have 570 units. Centenary Integrated Services is still the contractor. Some of the things, when you look at it, there's about 518 total inspections per year. That completed 1,224 PMs. You know, it's the fact that we have a very large fleet. You can see a diverse fleet, but all of our equipment is maintained in-house. It's purchased, it's maintained, and then we actually auction the vehicles off ourselves too. So it's something that it's a full-time job with that. One thing I would like to note out, the fuel pumps at the city garage, that is a big project that we're gonna be taking on this year. They need to be replaced, and there is capital money funded for that project already. So that will be being taking place this year. Streets, some of their goals. One of the biggest things that we're really excited about, and you can see the machine on the right-hand side there. We're looking to purchase a milling machine. So along with that, we're looking at expanding our program with the current funding that we have. We feel that we'll have additional mileage of road work that will be able to take place for the fact of having this piece of machinery. We're really excited about it, but along with that, obviously, we still do at least 7 miles of paving. We're looking at the new maintenance program. And again, we're very proud of the tailgate mounted asphalt recycler that we actually have. So this way we can make permanent repairs even when the plants are down over the winter time. Stormwater goals. Obviously, you know, we're trying to go out and really look at our entire system. One of the largest part of it is going out and monitoring with our TV truck all of the storm lines throughout the city. Just a little note there, we inspect and maintain 3,000 inlets, swales, and safety grates within this year. You know, picture up on the top left shows us, you know, where we're installing new inlets. But it's a very aggressive program, and if you can take notice, in the center there, inside that manhole, you see that color that's coming out there. We also have a program that we're going around to continue to look for illicit discharge detection and elimination. So one of the ways that we're actually doing that is through dye testing. So that's the process that they're looking at there. Okay, obviously a little bit new for us here. We have the NPDES permit. We're phase 1. That's for medium and large cities. Pretty much, we're the lucky ones along with Philadelphia. So there's a lot of requirements that are necessary for it, not only for the businesses that are throughout the city, but we really wanted to take a look at our own selves and look at compliance for what we do. So pretty much, you know, there's a couple different diagrams up there, but on the right-hand side there, there was a discharge that came out, and luckily with our guys knowing where the system goes, we were able to contain the actual spill for that area, but we have a good crew with that. All right, so the goals for the MS4 program, pretty much implement and improve the program elements to meet DEP, NPDES requirements, and EPA standards. So items we must do: update city ordinances, create a required storm management plan, create required documentation and implement tracking systems, update intermunicipal agreements. One of the big things that we're really required to do is to pursue green infrastructure planning for achieving pollution reduction goals in cities and paired waterways. One thing that you'll see when we get to the stormwater budget is the fact of we're budgeting in there for one of our impaired waterways to be able to do the required studies that are necessary and to see what's necessary to actually get it from the unimpaired or the impaired list. So also we need to implement industrial monitoring program. It's a lot of work. I can tell you the guys, especially Woody and Angela, you know, they're working on everything that's necessary for it, and they're doing a great job, but we have a long way to go yet. for traffic planning and control, some of the goals. One of the things I'd really like to point out, we're going to be going out very shortly for a grant application. I'll be coming to you guys to ask for approval to go for a multimodal grant. We have a safety enhancement project on Jefferson Street from Elm to Lehigh Street. We have issues along that whole corridor where we have racing in the area of Wyoming down to the bridge, the Ward Street Bridge. And then we also have some other areas where it's just too large of a street. So what we need to do is try to make some of the intersections a little bit safer in that area. But we have a plan that we want to do, especially at Wyoming Street with the traffic light, actually just have it single lanes going the whole way, no more racing going down that area. So very soon, actually, hopefully on the 16th, I'll be asking for approval for a contract to go out for some preliminary design for this project. And then the grant is due, I believe, sometime in December that we have to get it out by. So some of the other parts there, I mean, obviously you can see our equipment and our guys out there replacing a light. I believe that's at about like 7th and Linden or 7th and Hamilton. 7th and Hamilton. And just one of the fun facts that we actually had on the first slide was so far they had 1,777 work orders that they had to work on with the current system we have. So pretty much that's telling you why we need to do our changeover to LED. And I can tell you that currently we do have the contractor out doing our audit and well on our way. And we're hoping at least to, by the end of the year, possibly have about 1,000 of those lights installed so we can start seeing the change in the lighting and then also start to see some savings in electric. And that's what I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions from council members on the Public Works budget? Mr. Green.
Just in regards to salt and things, is that all taken care of for this salt for the winter?
Yeah, we're full. We're full and we do have funding yet. I believe for probably about another 2,000 ton. And obviously, Julio, even if we go through that 2,000 ton, we're gonna order whatever we need for public safety. So, but we are stocked and solid, ready to go.
Do we get that from the state or do we get?
Yeah, there's a contract that we go through, yes. The vendors change from year to year, but we do work off a contract.
Yeah, the other question I had is, I saw a picture of maybe being some kind of slides of the mailing machine when they were paving the Trexler Park, I think it was, a walkway over there, the Trexler Park, and the trail. How many of those machines do you have? Or do you only have one? You said you wanted to replace the milling machine?
Well, we have a small milling machine where it can make butt joints, where it's a few feet wide. We also have a asphalt recycler where we can go in and we can actually grind up the whole street. Basically, what we're looking at now to improve our efficiencies is actually to have a milling machine like the contractors actually do. So this way, as we mill through, we can mill maybe 1.5 inches of the street off and then do 1.5 inch overlay on that street.
Right at the same time?
You can actually load it up to the truck and it's more efficient. In the long run, we're gonna be able to do more with the current funding that we have.
Is that in the budget then for the milling machine?
For the equipment, yes, it's in the equipment fund.
Thank you. That's all, sir. Just one last question. The 275,000 performance grant that you mentioned, is that, how did that come about? Is that something that you applied for?
That's what we applied for, yes, and we're figuring it's going to come in around 275,000.
Is that because of the new contract, or is that just that you applied for it?
No, that's a performance grant yearly that gets filled out.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Mr. O'Connell.
Yeah, hi, thanks, Mr. Messenger. Great job as usual. Not a major concern, but you see you're 54, 56, well, you're 54, you're 62, fuels, oils, lubricants went up pretty high. And your operating materials and supplies is to address that. It would be 62 and 68 on page 78. Not a major issue, just, you know, just give me a rationale.
Right, okay, what you're looking at is the actual estimate. The 26 budget was actually 1,047,500. Our budget for 17 is 973,500. 864,500 is pretty much what we said, what we're gonna spend till the rest of the year, since the fuel prices are a little bit down. Historically, after elections, you know, when everybody is elected, they know fuel prices historically do go up a little bit. So I'm expecting just a little bit more than what we're spending this year on fuel. That's the main part of it.
Stock market did pretty good today. Compared to where it started.
Fuel probably went up.
Well, yeah, probably. No, I don't like not a major concern, just a question. I'm fine, thank you.
Mr. Hendrick?
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Not related to your work, but when is the scheduled date for the Tillman Street Bridge for the state to begin construction on that?
Okay, originally they thought it was gonna be in December that they were gonna actually start them. But it looks a little bit more like it's gonna be springtime. I don't have an exact date for them yet, but it looks like it'll be in the spring. But keep in mind, with the Tillman Street Bridge, there will always be pedestrian access to go across. The lanes of traffic will be closed, but there will be pedestrian access to go across.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else on council? Let's do them all together. Solid waste and liquid fuels also, but I have a question, I have just a couple questions on the budget before we go to solid waste and fuels. And I'm gonna go to page 78, just like President O'Connell was, and I have just a couple of questions, and I think you answered the first one in your presentation. Again, we're on page 78, 22. The telephone went up to 267.6 from 0, and I believe you mentioned that you're taking that over from the communications center.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. The publications and membership seems to have doubled. I'm sorry, yeah, 32, that would be 32.
Okay, yes, there is actually a little bit more training in there. Having the MS4 coordinator position in there is going to require some additional training. There's actually a couple additional permits now that our engineer in the engineering department will be taking on. So there are some other renewals that need to take place, but they are all in the detail about each one of them. But they're requirements that as long as we hold in them, there's a little bit more work we can actually do in-house and instead of actually going for consultants.
Okay, thank you. And again, on same page 50, the A&E for 216 at 347,179, and the proposed for 17 at 31,160.
Those were the costs from the winter with the contractor.
Okay, thank you. In your presentation, you had about the updating the 800 megahertz system. Is that being done? I'm sure it is, but I just want to get it out there for people who might want to question that. That is also being done in conjunction with the whole switch over to the county?
Yes.
Okay. One other question, New England Avenue. Do we have an update on New England Avenue?
Still trying to get it on the tip, but I'm working with them to get it placed back on.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the council? If not, we'll entertain the controller here.
Well, go ahead.
I think I took a good job at that.
Thank you. I had a question about solid waste. So, solid waste in the big budget book is 386. In the back of the budget book, there's a 5-year plan for the city as a whole, but there's no 5-year projection for solid waste. And I was wondering, given how we expect costs to increase, over the next couple of years.
We actually did provide a 5-year plan last year when we talked about it.
Well, and I thought as much, for time being, leaving today, I didn't have a chance to go back.
Give me another copy, that's, we do have a 5-year plan.
I have it right here if you want to see it.
Well, and the answer is yes, but what does the out years look like in terms of waste charges for the residential and business? I mean, are we gonna be able to maintain that level?
We have it maintained
For how many years?
through the 5-year plan.
5 years.
Very good, thank you.
All right, did you have any kind of presentation on the solid waste portion of the budget, or are you just waiting for
No,
questions?
there was a couple slides that went in through that, but yeah, no, it's.
He talked about the recycle bank and.
Okay, then I just have a couple on the budget amendment, which we just got a couple of figures here. And it'd be page 3 on the budget amendment that we just received. I think it's a total of 6 pages. Everybody got it? All right, so let's go to 30, rentals. Pretty substantial jump there, if you could explain that, please.
Yeah, the rentals, actually, we have a lease on our tub grinder, and I believe there was a tractor also. And we actually received a grant for some of the funding for these pieces of equipment. The problem with that is we had to make sure that it was paid for by 2017. The lease payments actually went out to either 18 or 19, but so to receive the grant, we have to pay for it by 2017. We're not gonna give up the money, so that's why we have the rentals increased for this year.
So it accelerates the payment.
Okay, thank you. And for full disclosure, so I'm not just throwing out increases here for you, there's a couple of decreases here. I see in 42, repair and maintenance is down 5,000. 46, I see is down from 961 to 9405.
Yeah, that's for the contract,
Okay.
for our waste management.
And then 54, repairs and maintenance, that's up a little bit also. From 80,595 to 132,520.
We need to do some paving work at the different sites, so that's materials for Mark to use for paving on their sites.
Would that then correspond with the increase in 68, with the operating materials and supplies? We're up there from 177 to 191.
Yeah, take a look here. The increase is the fact that we need to order more bins since we made the change over to these other bins. So it's an increase in the cost for the recycling bins.
72, equipment from 304,888 to 423.
It's just this year we had a little bit more equipment necessary to purchase. Actually, when I show you the 5-year plan, you'll see that it's not something that continues on through that.
I believe this is a street sweeper.
Right.
Street sweeper.
The cost, well, we buy them every year, but for, what's happening is when they go from tier 3 to tier 4, for emissions requirements, the cost of the equipment actually goes up. So part of it is for increase for the sweeper, but there are a couple other smaller items that we need to purchase.
Okay, I just have 2 more, and then I'm gonna let you go to somebody else. 876, construction contracts from 0 to 75.
That would be for, we're purchasing a paper shredder, and down at the site, actually on Martin Luther King, we need to build a roof and a structure around it. Plus, there's also some costs that we need to, with the changeover going over to Bridgeworks, there's some costs there for some work being done. But it's for those two areas.
Okay, this is gonna be like a big shredder where people don't have to shred their papers
This
before they
is
go there?
gonna be something where we'll be able to actually supply shredding services for people, yes.
Okay, and then the last one, and I'm done here. General, 86, the very next line, from 827, 241 to 899, 264.
I will speak to that one, Mr. McLean, if I may.
Absolutely.
This is the portion of dollars that are distributed in this fund and other funds from the enterprise funds to support the general fund due to administration that occurs during the course of the year. During 2016, we had a study done by the Maximus Group that was based upon our most recent available full year data on 2014 data, estimating what amount should be drawn from the solid waste fund for the purposes of covering over general city expenditures, and that calculation is based upon the new Maximus data.
Thank you very much. Anybody else from council? Anybody else from council? Okay, and seeing nobody else from council, we'll open it up to the public. We are gonna hold you to the 3 minutes, so if you have more than one question, so we don't get into back and forth here, just state your questions and then we'll get them answered.
As long as you ask me question, Roger.
Well, I'm always asking you questions. Don't forget your name and address, because we don't know where you are.
405 North Gilmore Street, Allentown, Pennsylvania, 18119. Well, my first question is, this report you just read, is that gonna be made to the public? I mean, I gotta pay $30 for the budget, I wish I could get that addendum to the budget.
You mean the budget memo, that it was just questioning from the,
Okay. My next question, Roger, the New England Highway you brought up is my concern, also because we live on the east side. Why was it taken off the list that could be completed? New England Highway, why was it taken off the list? I mean, you settled a lawsuit, so why couldn't we go forward then? We have money yet in the budget.
No, the funding that was actually there was federal funds. It was being paid for federal funds for it. It's not our funds.
I know, but we could draw it down as we complete the highway, as we do with other federal funds.
The funds have been pulled from the job. When the litigation and everything went through, the project then came off the tip. That's why I'm trying to work to get it back on the tip.
It's gonna be a mess once they start on that bridge over there, I'll tell you that. And my next thing, I heard that, Mr. Messinger say he's got money, he's got capital projects and, he's got equipment and all that, but I see no equipment fund. Like before prior to Mayor's, Pulaski administration was always part of the budget, equipment fund out there, every fund out there, government fund, and I see nothing that speaks of the funding for the equipment that what he calls gonna purchase, public works. And I also heard, Mr. Messinger say about capital improvements. As you know, I sent you guys a memo. The board of 1996 approved the capital budgets got to be included with the regular budget. We had none of that either. So I'm asking the city council to ask administration for the information and make it part of the budget. I mean, we can't operate government, we're operating government under policy administration when it comes to budget. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
That's, there you go, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hartzell.
Well, we're putting together the capital plan for this year, as we mentioned, that we wanted to demonstrate publicly all of the projects that were currently ongoing in the city, and doing that as a little bit of an adjustment from the way that they've been presented in recent years. And after talking with my staff and with the planning staff, we realized we had a few other adjustments that needed to be made to the ordinances and other things that accompany that document. We are in the process of, by next week, having that whole package together that should satisfy Mr. Hirschman's concerns. And the equipment fund will be coming out as well.
I have a comment. The equipment fund's here. If you look at it, it's a budget book. It's right there. If you look at the detail sheet and the detailed budget book, under equipment fund, all the equipment is listed. And I know Mr. Hirschman wants to take a shot at me every time he gets up here, but every single year for the last 12 years, the equipment fund has been in the budget, is in the budget this year. It's just in the detail book as opposed to the regular budget.
Listen, it breaks out, because the equipment fund is also listed on page 378 of the budget.
There's your detail book.
The detail book breaks it out.
Page 184,
Yes.
all of it's there.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Glenn Hunsinger, 844 South 11th Street, Allentown. I want to go to the solid waste fund sheet page. It is 387. I have a question on the, and I brought this up numerous times on the general city charges. And I see there's about a $120,000 increase between 16 and 17 proposed. Can we explain why is that going up so much? And if that was on his previous question or answer about this report they did, can we get a copy of that report? No? You know what I'm saying?
I believe, is that the copy that you just gave to Mr. Hirschman? No, different.
No, sir, and I have a copy of the Maximus report, which is, from which we derived the information. It's very technical in dealing with indirect costs and cutting across the effects of how much one department has an effect on another and dealing with a lot of interactions back and forth. It's very technical stuff. I wouldn't actually recommend having to put anybody through having to look at that, but the data is in there based upon a rigorous study, and we allocated what we did for general city charges accordingly.
Does it cover all the inner city charges to all the different funds?
I understand, I'm getting a positive yes, no.
A yes?
Yes.
But can we get that copy? I mean, I think we might be smart enough to figure this out. I don't know. I mean, I was asking for this about 6 or 8 months ago, because we, and he said he was gonna work on it.
This Maximus report.
Well, no, I didn't know about that report. He was gonna work on the general city charges. I asked him for how they calculated that, and basically now they have
That report.
So if we could make that public, I'd appreciate it.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Good evening, Tom Horn, 26 East Highland Street. I'll clean up the mess and take it to the garbage. My question is about the cost, and are there any costs to consultants in the presentation that was brought up, and where do I find that cost, similar to what the study was that you're talking about now? Is that in 46 where the devil is in the details? And can we have some details to go with that so we can understand which department used the consultants and what they used it for and what that cost is? Because when Messinger said about the engineering department had, for lack of a better word, controls over what's going on, in other words, what do they use for consultants to get their information, or how do the engineers proceed? Because I have asked many times, what's the total amount of cost in the budget for consultants to the city of Allentown from all departments? And so if we could get that breakdown to study and to find out where there's deficiencies in that department, that may be training or schooling or credit for knowledge would be applied, and we wouldn't need to have all these consultants telling us what to do, and the in-house people would be able to make the decisions. That's my question.
They are on line 46. They are on line 46. Do you have the detail work?
Yeah, but I'm saying, the details of how each department uses the consultant and what for, I can't decipher it.
So you want to know what consultants were hired, how much they were paid, and what they were hired for, is what you're asking for?
Yeah, and so that those studies or something, that we know what the determination they did and what effect it has on the city going forward, or what it does in the past. An example I could use, when we went to single stream, there was such a savings, and when we asked, what about the trucks they had to buy to get the equipment to waste management, took that, not, avoided the savings because they had to buy the equipment, yet we have the savings, and then the new expenditures come up as, oh, this is what we have to do to buy the equipment to do what we want to do, and there was no savings.
Okay, I understand what you're asking for, but what council does is they take the budget, the department heads such as Mr. Messinger give us an idea or put an amount in there of what they feel they're gonna need for those services during the course of the year. We do approve contracts, but we don't get the individual stuff
Well,
given to
I
us.
mean, if you're gonna handle, if you're gonna handle.
Let me just have, that might be something that the administration can provide. I don't know that, but I think it should be able to be provided, but, you know, that's something they would have to have.
Okay.
We're holding to 3 minutes here, Tom, we're way late.
No, I know, but what I wanna say is, in the 2015 budget, there's a $300,000 saving that was mentioned, that's gonna be, tried to be done this year in the street lights, but we already took the savings of the 300, the money that we were gonna save for the next 6 years,
And
we
that has
spent
nothing
it
to do with
already.
consultants, though. Now you're going into something else.
No,
We'll see, we'll ask the administration if we can get a copy or a breakdown of that at some point in time, and hopefully. Anybody else from public? Saying nobody? Anybody else from council? All right.
Are you going to, you're gonna do the liquid fuels and things like that next, or how do you work it?
We did, yeah, whatever you wanna ask, you go for it.
Well, probably which you're just.
He doesn't, Mr. Messinger has no formal presentation on that, so basically we did the budget, and now we're going through the other side. Solid waste, liquid fuels, anything.
I'm not looking at anything in particular, I just want to make sure that we can do each one of them.
That's what we're here to do.
We did.
Anybody else from council?
Presentation.
Mr. Controller, anything from you? Hearing nothing? Call this meeting to an end.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Plain, did a fine job, as usual. We'll go right into our 6:45, budget review, community economic development, federal grant funds, applicable equipment and capital funds. So they'll switch roles here. We'll go from public works staff to community economic development staff, and then Dr. McGuire, you will be in charge of this meeting, sir. Go to community economic development. Start at 203. Start at 203. Yeah, we're good. Okay, we're ready to go. Community Economic Development, we'll turn it over to the chairperson, Dr. McGuire, the chair. And I see Shannon's here and our staff is here. And go for it, Dr. McGuire.
Do you have a presentation for us?
I do. Good evening, I'm Shannon Calori in the Department of Community and Economic Development. I have a quick presentation just to highlight some of the activities for the department over the next year in 2017. Here's our org chart for you to review. Okay, I'm going to walk through each one of the bureaus. So in the Bureau of Planning, one of our big focus areas for the last couple of years has been the Upside Allentown Plan. So we're going to continue to work with over 100 partners throughout the city to implement the Upside Allentown Plan. We're also working on developing a comprehensive housing strategy that will look at both affordable housing needs as well as market rate needs. We're looking at developing a strategy to revitalize Union Boulevard and Hanover Avenue corridors. And then we are looking at doing just kind of our normal day-to-day activities, which include reviewing site development plans, preparing zoning hearing board cases, and preparing HARB cases. In our Building Standards and Safety Bureau, one of our big new activities is going to be the implementation of our HUD lead hazard control grant. As you know, we received 2 grants, one directly from HUD and one from HUD through our State Department of Health. And we will be implementing this in close coordination with the Health Bureau. We're also obviously going to focus on our day-to-day activities that include inspecting residential units, supporting new development projects, and working with developers on permits and inspecting construction projects. In our Health Bureau, we are going to be working on implementing 5 new grant awards this year. The Health Bureau especially works really hard on applying for grants to offset some of our general fund costs. And they have new grants in the areas of nutrition and physical activity, childhood lead poisoning, childhood injury prevention, communicable disease prevention. They're also working very hard with the Allentown School District to increase access to clinical care and immunizations. They're working hard to address the heroin and opioid crisis in partnership with law enforcement, hospitals, and schools. And finally, they're going to continue to implement a continuous quality improvement process throughout the Bureau. In our Business Development Office, they're focusing on getting ready to launch phase 2 of the Economic Development Marketing Strategy. They're working hard on relaunching the SCAN program, which is a video surveillance program for small businesses. They're constantly working to recruit and engage new retail partners and developers. And finally, they also are an important part of our Upside Allentown team, especially focusing on supporting arts-based economic development, as well as business and workforce development programs. Our federal grants area, this is our HUD grants. We received basically 3 different grants from HUD. The Community Development Block Grant, the home funding, as well as the Emergency Solutions Grant. This grant year starts July 1 and goes through June 30th. So you've approved the budget, the $3.1 million budget for this year. And we're working really hard right now on getting the funding out to our partners. And so we're funding all different types of things like public services and public improvements and curb cuts and demolition. One of the things we're working on now is getting ready to launch a housing rehab program. We are using some CDBG funds to support that. And finally, in summary, obviously the city of Allentown is continuing to be revitalized. Residents and visitors are benefiting from this development. We can expect new job opportunities in 2017. We're working really hard on neighborhood and quality of life improvements. And finally, we're also always working hard to improve customer service. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions about the budget.
Thank you, Ms. Flores. Any questions from our colleagues on the dais?
Real quick, just one on expecting new job opportunities. You're talking with businesses and what retail downtown?
Correct. I mean, we continually try to look for opportunities to bring businesses not only downtown but throughout the city.
Right. Thank you.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
In regards to the housing rehab program, Shannon, what are you planning to do? Are you working with the housing authority or anybody else in regards to that?
So what we did is, about 2 months ago, we released 3 RFPs. One to focus on kind of a one-stop shop for housing programs in Allentown, so that when people call, and they call on a daily basis, it's a place where we can try to point people in the right direction. And then also, this one-stop shop will also pre-qualify people looking at income qualifications for the program. The second RFP was to do an owner-occupied rehab program, and the third RFP was to do a rental rehab program. We received the RFPs about 2 weeks ago, so we're reviewing them now and hope to put contracts in place before the end of the year. And so it was open for anybody to bid.
So, rental rehab, is that you going to provide funding for the rental?
We're going to provide, funding to property owners to rehab their properties. And in that case, their tenants will have to meet income qualifications.
It's a CDBG program.
Okay, so the tenants are doing the qualification, I understand the owner?
Correct.
That sounds good. I got one question regarding the scan program. Is that, who's gonna pay for that?
We actually had money set aside. There's a program that we actually started a couple of years ago. It was through the police department. The problem was that we really didn't have, we were requiring them to get a certain amount of camera, a certain size camera, and it was actually too expensive, I think, for a lot of small businesses. So what we've done is we've gone back, we've asked the police department to actually identify cameras that they could purchase through like Best Buy or others that would actually have data that would easily be downloadable that can work with our system. And they've identified about 10 different varieties of cameras that you can order online through Amazon, through Best Buy and others that actually interface with our own system. And they're anywhere from $500 to $1,000. And so they're much more affordable than the multi-$1,000 camera we were trying to get these small businesses to buy that didn't, even because it's a match program, they didn't really want to match that amount because they would say to us, well, I can go out and buy a camera for, cheaper than that. So what we did is we tried to find something that's compatible with our system. I think we did that. We've given them a bunch of options, and it's still going to be a match program, but they're options of cameras that are a lot cheaper, and we think there's going to be a lot more utilization, and thus we'll probably get a lot more cameras out there as a result of that too.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of
There's
people,
$50,000 allocated for that.
for small businesses, spending, $1,000 in a camera is a lot. But they usually get the system so they can actually see it from their phone.
Yeah.
And they can, monitor who's in the business.
Technology has come such a long way, and it keeps changing with these systems, and they keep coming cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. The thing is, we want to make sure that if they get a system, and Councilman McLean and Councilman Hendricks could attest to this, that we want, if they get data You know what I mean? If they're recording something, that it's on a format that we can utilize. So we don't want to give them a format that, you know, we can't plug into our system and actually see if there's say there's a robbery in the corner store. They record it, they get it recorded on camera, but we can't utilize that data because all we can do is view it on their system. That doesn't help our investigators. And so we wanted to make sure whatever camera they were purchasing, it has a data transfer feature that is compatible with our own systems. So we've come up with, like I said, with about 10 different options.
But that's their expense, or do we have grants for it?
No, this is a grant, it's a matching grant. So we give half, they have to come up with half.
Okay.
But before, we were having a system that was, you know, a couple $1,000s, and they were saying, well, I can go out and buy a system for $500. Why do I want to match it for $1,500? You know what I mean? And so we just weren't getting takers, so we sort of rethought the program and really found out what the issue was. And the issue was making sure we had compatible systems that were compatible for data transfer. We've done that. We've identified, I think, a wide variety of different systems they've purchased through different sources, and they're a lot cheaper, and I think it'll actually get a lot more utilization by small businesses, you know, and within the community.
Where can I sign up?
Ms. Meredith?
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. Under health, can you talk a little bit about the nutrition and physical activity?
Sure. Did you have anything specific, or you just want me to kind of give an overview?
An overview. I would like an overview, please. We already know what you're doing about the lead poisoning, but you spoke about that a few weeks ago. Yeah, please give me an overview, please.
In our nutrition and physical activity program, we do cholesterol screening for folks who don't have access to that service. We do obesity counseling for folks who also don't have access to those services in the community. We have the Million Clicks for Million Hearts that we've spoken to you about with the city walking program and the jog clocks throughout the parks. And then we have a wide variety of what I call community-based services, like we support some of the work in the community gardens. We work with the Food Council on advocacy and policy about food and nutrition in the schools. We assist the schools with their waste assessments to try to determine what is actually bringing food to the kids that they're actually consuming, because some of the regulations now, kids are wasting an awful lot of food in the schools. That department has Tina Amato and Ali, who are registered dietitians. And then that program also runs the summer recreation program out of Alliance Hall, where in the month of July, we run the, basically it's like a camp for between 150 and 250 Center City kids for the month, where we teach them public health initiatives, but we also occupy them with physical activities, and they participate in Romper Day like a playground would. We cover a wide variety of community-based programming throughout that program.
Okay. Thank you.
Certainly.
Was there any thought given, or is it planned to add some personnel to the health department, health division?
We do not at this point have any additional personnel that we were adding in this year's budget.
Except for the lead grants, there's a number of staff being added to the lead grant.
But the lead grant is in building standards.
Not in health.
Not in health.
In our overall.
We basically have the same staffing or the same number of positions that we had last year.
Okay, the other question is for Lori, which may be my ever-increasing store of knowledge. What is the connection between your departments and the SWEEP program?
So we work very closely with SWEEP. We definitely have different focus areas. So the Bureau of Building Standards, the rental inspectors, for example, their job is to focus on rental properties, inspecting rental properties, doing pre-sales inspections, doing complaint inspections, and looking for blighted properties. Often when they're out doing those activities, they find a potential sweep violation, and so they'll call the sweep officer to come and write that ticket. And so they work very closely, they communicate probably on a daily basis. On a monthly basis, we meet with the mayor to talk about a list of blighted properties. And there's a number of bureaus and departments at that meeting, including sweep and health and fire and building standards and our attorney's office, to look at the blighted properties kind of from a comprehensive perspective in terms of how to move them forward and address the issues.
Do the sweep, excuse me, do the sweep officers call in or report in things that they observe that are probable building type problems rather than just their specific sweep type things?
Yes, so the calls go both ways. Our building standards staff calls sweep and sweep calls building standards to make sure that we're addressing the code violations that are in the community.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the dais before we get to our conflict controller?
Go ahead, Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. Mr. Valori, if you could, earlier this year we approved the new position over in code enforcement. As Carmen, Mr. Dragata was transferred to assist with the office manager.
Office manager.
Has that position been filled?
It hasn't been filled yet. The reason for the delay is that after that position was created, shortly after that, a decision was made to move the rental office over to City Hall. And the idea is that once the rental office is over at City Hall, we're going to evaluate if the office manager position is best used in City Hall, or if it could potentially be better used in a different way in the department. So the position's been under evaluation because of the consolidation. Carmen's been considering if that's the best use of an FTE, considering we have more people at City Hall, and there's potentially more opportunity to use other staff in multiple ways. So that's under review.
Right. Is that position even reflected in this budget?
Oh, I assumed it was. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, the office manager. Yeah.
What page is that on?
I got 261. Yeah, 261 I got.
Yeah, it's right there. Office manager, 261.
That was the proposed position then?
Yeah, that was so the office manager was approved in 2016. So it's in the proposed budget at 0.9. Probably the rest of it. The rest of it is in program 02 on page 251.
Which position is that reflected on 251?
Oh, so the office manager 09, is that listed at
Part of it is
0.1?
divided between one program and another program.
0.1 and 251 and 0.9 and 261.
Okay, thank
43
you.
plus 4, 47,000.
Thank you.
I'm ready. Yeah, not a question, good presentation, Janet, but a commentary. Tell Heidi to spend down those HUD funds and CDBG funds, because with the new administration, I think the HUD funds and the CDBG funds will disappear.
Well, that's always a fear. I mean, it's been cut in half over the course of the last several years. That's a huge fear. I agree. That would be a blow to our city and to many cities across the country.
Other questions from the council? Mr. Controller, Mr. Glazer?
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. And on Monday, we discussed the arts funding that was in Civic in general. And I noticed in the Community Economic Development on page 112, and then subsequent page, there's another $50,000 in two $25,000 increments. Is this money going to be used for the same purpose, or is this an additional?
This is different. I mean, this is to actually promote the arts, to try to actually get more galleries and actual artists within the communities, as opposed to a residency program. As opposed to a residency program. We're also looking at we're looking at a housing initiative, Mr. Glazer, so that we can actually get artists to actually live within the community. And we haven't decided if it's going to be a down payment program or if it's going to be, a subsidy program, some sort of rental subsidy program. But many municipalities have very programs to actually get artists to live within their communities. And so the first $50,000 is actually for the Arts Commission, and that's specifically for the Arts in Residency program. And then the other is for arts marketing and developing arts venues in the city, whether it's housing, whether it's gallery space, so forth and so on.
Thank you. Also, Dr. McGuire, in zoning for land use and development, zoning, which is on page 122, in the 50, under services and charges, there's legal opinions prepared for zoning cases and then services rendered by the solicitor to the zoning hearing board. And at least with regards to services rendered by solicitor to zoning hearing board, we're talking about our solicitor?
No, that's an outside solicitor.
It has to be.
We're not, okay.
We can't have our own solicitor opinions also.
And so that would,
so we actually.
Number 3 and 4 both pertain to outside counsel.
Yeah, those are contractual, really.
And most of those costs are actually covered in revenue. We make up for most of the zoning hearing board expenses through the charges that we charge constituents when they have to go to the zoning hearing board.
But floating around upstairs, there's certainly letters of engagement to those, to council.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course, absolutely.
And finally, thank you very much. And finally, with regards to health, I note that the budget this year is about $3.6 million, and 2/3 of that is either covered by fees, service charges, or grants. So it's certainly a very astute use of funds to get a broad array of services for Allentown with a minimal effect on using local funding.
Vicki does a tremendous job.
Thank you.
Because she's just sitting here, but she does a tremendous job in actually balancing out that budget, getting the grants, working with the 315 grants, what's the other two? X12 grants from the state, and she utilizes those funds very judiciously, and there's actually very little general fund revenue that goes into the health department.
Well, it's about a third of the budget,
Yeah.
but I'm very impressed.
Thank you, and I have an exceptional staff, so that makes it very easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. McGuire.
From the dais, just the reading.
Let me just recap something. With regards to the inspectors, how many we have now for building standards?
So there's 12 inspectors in the housing office.
25, is that like?
The
Yeah,
30
12.5. What, 12.85? Is that like somebody?
12.85, where are you?
I'm on page 247.
247.
I'm trying to figure out what the 0.85 goes reflects to.
Okay, so this is the 247 is the inspection office. So it's the building, plumbing, and electrical inspectors, as well as the permit techs, as well as 2 managers, and part of the director's salary.
So the 3.5, what you're asking, Julio, is some of it, as Mr. O'Connell pointed out, some of it is broken up between different programs. So some of it is paid through CDBG, and it has to be in a separate program to be paid that way.
Okay. Now, there's something else. Well, I've been getting a lot of complaints, and I talked to Carmen about this. I talked to Carmen about this, and it's in regards to, do we really have enough inspectors available to do the work that they need to do? Or do we need more? And this is the time to, like, find out.
I think we have enough. I mean, if we need more, I would propose more. Listen, we have.
Let me just say, the reason why I get periodically calls of people who have to wait 2 or 3 months to get something inspected.
I find it hard to believe, but let me just address the issue. So what we do, Shannon alluded to
In
it.
fact, we had a couple of people here the other day that were speaking about.
I've been getting the same phone calls, Mr. Guridi.
That was a business owner who had,
Well, I understand what you're saying, but in addition to that.
That was a business owner who had everything screwed up, okay? And then the city did a good job trying to unravel it, because he was going all over the place, and he wasn't going to the right place, so.
Yeah, but that's one particular issue.
That's just
But
one
in
issue.
addition to that, there was others, the one you're talking about.
Well, that was one.
In fact, I brought him to come over.
Yeah.
But there have been others, there was a lady who was opening a store on.
If you're having those questions and those concerns, please give me a call or give Carmen a call, and we'll try to address the issue. Because I can tell you for fact, it does not take that long normally, okay? Unless there's some extenuating circumstance like Mr. O'Connell's talking about in that particular case. Our inspectors, are doing a pretty efficient job. They're out there. Could they be more efficient? Sure, every department could be more efficient.
I'm not talking about the efficiency. What I'm talking about is, do we need more, because sometimes it takes people 2 or 3 months, and that's reality.
If to go through a process, it may take them 2 to 3 months. You have to. You know what I've learned after 12 years? You have to look at each individual case, because some cases, they may say, oh, it's taken me a long time, but what they didn't do was they didn't follow the process the way they were supposed to follow the process. And so, they jumped over a process, or they didn't follow back up with the inspector to get a re-inspection. We had to come out and then, say that it wasn't up to code, and it took them more time to get it brought up to code. I found over the course of the years that each one is different, and you have to look at each case individually, because when you get down to the root of the case, it usually has to do with some confusion on the part of the property owner, the individual, not knowing how to follow through the process, or trying to skirt the process, or trying to work around the process, or.
I'm not asking the procedure. Basically, what I want to know is if you need more inspectors.
Yeah, no.
One comment, so currently we have 3 building inspectors, 2 plumbing inspectors, and 2 electrical inspectors. We're down 1 building inspector. The position has been posted, it's just been difficult to find the right qualified candidate to bring on. So that said, if we receive complaints that it's taking too long to get an inspection, we have options to try to get out to the property as quickly as possible. We can always offer overtime. So it's good to kind of keep the communication flowing to make sure we are addressing the issues if they come up.
The answer to your question is no, I don't believe we need any more inspectors at this point.
All right. Now, the other question I have is in regards to the Diaz name in regards to that department. Are we hiring somebody else to replace?
We posted for Bernie Tobias's position. I just put his name at the top there. Currently, he's the business development liaison. I put his name at the top because he's prepared tonight to, represent the priorities for 2017. Bernie's position is currently posted. She left us
Can we promote from
2
within?
weeks ago.
Is there an opportunity to promote from
We
within?
will look at every applicant that puts it forward. I can't answer that question for you.
Just putting it in there. There may be a.
Dan's done a great job over the past couple of years.
We're not gonna go into that.
All right. I think that's it for now, Dr. McGuire.
Thank you, Ms. Alpha.
Thank you, Dr. McGuire. I have to clarify for me, there's 12 inspectors, correct?
Well, okay, so we have 2 different groups of inspectors. We have what we call housing inspectors, and the housing inspectors focus on rental inspections, pre-sales inspections, and complaint inspections primarily. And then we have the building, and there's 12.
Almost 12,000.
Oh, okay. And then we have 7 building inspectors, and that's the building, plumbing, and mechanical and electrical inspectors.
All right. So when someone's opening a business, both of them are affected, both of the,
It depends on what they're doing. To the extent they're making renovations to the property, most likely they're gonna be working with the building, plumbing, and electrical inspectors. If they,
the other department is the health inspector.
Yeah.
I know who they are.
And then there's the health inspectors. And what we've done,
For the zoning
what
company.
Sharon's talked about is we've actually moved everybody into one location now. Because the housing inspectors are physically at another location, they were at Bridgeworks, which made it kind of complicated both to manage them and for them to coordinate with each other. So we have actually purchased additional cubicles, they're all going in on the 3rd floor. So between the 3rd and 4th floor, we will have a true one-stop shop now, because all the inspectors, all the department functions will be located within City Hall. What we're doing now at Bridgeworks is we're actually taking the sweep officers and the recycling department, which is now living in a trailer, has been for the last several years, and actually moving into a physical building.
It makes it easier for me when people ask. We get the complaints and we try to steer them to the department, or I'm going to a certain department. So thank you for the information.
Dais? Any questions from the non-existent people out there?
There's nobody here.
Hardly.
Good job, Dr. McGuire.
Good work. All right.
Just a quick one. In regards to grants.
You're done.
But you're running too much here. In regards to grants, I mean, I remember people asking, why can we give some, people to, kind of like almost like a deposit, down payment deposit to buy property. Is there grants like that at all?
So, yes, so CDBG currently gives money to neighborhood housing services to assist with down payment and closing costs.
Okay, so that does assist, I mean, that's through the,
People who are in compliance.
and it goes to what department again?
It's the neighborhood housing services, it's a nonprofit.
So is that only for those properties that they have over there?
No, it's for anybody. Yeah.
For anywhere they want to buy it?
Yeah, but they have to be income qualified, because it
Yeah,
gives
yeah,
us
of course.
CDBG money, this is a lot of income home buyers.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have to be first-time home buyers.
And go to
The
class probably.
CDBG money, we're required by the CDBG guidelines to target the funding to.
How much is it? If we do CDBG, how much do we?
I don't know, a couple $100, I think.
On the grants per grant, what's the amount?
The total amount?
No, let's say if somebody wants a grant.
Oh, for the down payment and
How does
closing
it
costs?
calculate?
I don't know, I think it's between $5,000 and $10,000.
Yeah.
I can get you that
It's
information.
a couple $100,000 a year that we allocate.
I really would like to know
specifically.
that information, because I'm gonna present it to somebody who was complaining about that.
If they have questions, they can always call.
Yeah, I just went to the news, he's doing the 7th Street Calle 7 thing, somebody was came over here and talked about it, and then went to the news and talked about it, and said, we have that kind of program.
Well, it's not true if we do.
I know, that's what I want.
Okay,
That's all,
I
sir.
think that finishes our part of the program.
Yes, sir. Good job, Dr. McGuire. We'll move right on, and so your staff, and, excuse me, we have a little bit more business to do, but thank you very much. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate it. We're going to go, Mr. Hanlon, let's go into ordinance and for introduction. Bill number 78.
Bill number 78 amends the 2016 general fund, provide for supplemental appropriation from the appropriate balance of $591,320.50, and that's for the police and fire arbitration. That's just for introduction.
Yeah, Mr. Hartzell, just real brief, go ahead. You explained a little bit the other night how much it will
The
cost.
bulk of this is the retroactive 3% increase for 2016 as a result of the FOP arbitration award. There's also, the IAFF award also had an additional holiday that was put into their contract this year, which is, so there's a little bit extra in there that actually covers their staff as well. And the amount that we are receiving as part of the escrow repayment tied to the administrative order is above budget far enough that we can use the excess to cover over the additional expenses.
Okay, thank you. Questions from my colleagues? Bill 78, seeing none. Question from the public, seeing none. That will go to public safety. Mr. Hendricks, I believe will be discussed down on Monday. Public safety. Very well. Mr. Hanlon, bills for resolution, just go through all of them, starting with R170.
Oh, they were just there in case anybody wanted to catch up.
And for the most part, we already introduced those last meeting, except R170 is new, right?
I know, just the police tickets.
I didn't see R170 last week, did I?
Which one is that, the capital project?
The capital improvements.
The capital improvement book, I believe you would have received a copy of. That is the one that we are reformatting at this point, but that's literally what our R170 was introduced.
I know that, but last agenda on Monday night, R170 is new.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know, we got the capital improvements, but the actual resolution is new, correct? Yeah, they are. It's new. Trust me, it's new. The others are duplicates, but R170 is new, and we talked about that, and you did a fine job.
Oh,
okay, so the rest are there. Again, R170 is new. 75, 64, 63, 68, 70, 65, 77, and 76. They were talked about on Monday evening. Do you have any questions or concerns from my council members about that? Seeing none, no questions or concerns from the public. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. We will meet on Monday evening. What do we have Monday? I know we have public safety and
Human resources and risk management.
HR, risk management, public safety. Monday evening.